Can a gaming headset that costs less than €20 actually be worth using in 2025? Today, we're finding out with the Sharkoon Skiller SGH10. The question is it a bargain or just another budget bin throwaway? Let's find out. Hey guys, I'm Wes and welcome back to Kit Guru. Today we're looking at something that sits firmly in the budget gaming headset space, the Sharkoon Skiller SGH10 stereo gaming headset. If you're already familiar with Sharkoon headsets, you might notice a lot of similarities in design to its predecessor, the Skiller SGH1, and although this is an updated model, it actually costs significantly less. This one comes in at around €20 MSRP over in Germany, where it's designed, or just £24 here in the UK from Amazon, which is eyebrow-raisingly cheap in 2025 for a headset that claims optimised audio for gaming and voice chats, lightweight comfort, and cross-platform compatibility. Inside the box, you get the headset itself, a detachable omnidirectional mic with a foam pop filter, a short 110cm TRRS cable for console controllers or laptops, etc., and then a longer dual 3.5mm splitter cable that stretches the total length to around 2.5 meters for use in PC setups. There's no flashy extras, no stickers, no case, but for £24, that's to be expected. I'd personally much rather that they cut the cost here than on the actual headset itself, although it would have been nice to see some slightly more protective packaging inside the box instead of everything just being loose inside of a single bag, but the sample I have here arrives safe and sound with no marks or damage. The Skiller SGH10 uses a suspended headband design with the two outer headband rails forming the main structure of the headset, which are most likely metal on the inside from what I can feel, and then wrapped in a rubber finish, although I'm unable to actually confirm that it's actually metal on the inside without cutting open the rubber, and Sharkoon doesn't state the material used, so you'll just have to trust my educated guess on that one. The inner headband is lightly padded and features a subtle colour match Sharkoon logo and text along the top. This is all suspended on a pair of plastic ribbons that stretch to accommodate various head sizes quite nicely. On the sample I have here, I did notice that the headband doesn't fully retract on the right hand ear cup, but overall this doesn't affect the use of the headset. The ear cups are plastic but don't feel too brittle or weak. These are closed back headphones, but Sharkoon have added faux cutouts in an effort to try and make these look similar to some more high-end open-backed headphones. The ear cups have some branding on the side donning a brushed metal shield with a printed Sharkoon logo. Overall, the aesthetic of this headset is a little underwhelming, but I think for the price, Sharkoon have done a pretty good job at creating a budget product that doesn't look or feel completely terrible. The earpads are circumaural, as Sharkoon states on their website, which is just a fancy way of saying that they sit over your ears rather than on your ears. The pads themselves are made from foam wrapped in a breathable fabric, which keeps them cooler than PU leather alternatives during extended use. They're not memory foam or anything fancy, the fabric isn't the most refined and a tad on the rough side, but still soft enough to avoid hot spots and doesn't cause any discomfort at all whilst wearing them. The ear pads are removable, which I suppose could make them easier to clean, although they aren't the easiest to pull off and are held on by small plastic tabs, which I'd personally be concerned with possible snapping with repeated clipping on and off. And it also doesn't seem like there's any options to replace the pads either from Sharkoon direct or from any third parties. And cloth ear pads are prone to picking up dirt and oil and all that lovely gamer grime over time, so it would have been nice to see some replacements being offered for sale, so I don't really see any advantage of having removable ear pads here. Moving on to the comfort aspect, this is where the headset really surprised me the most, because it's so lightweight, weighing just 253 grams, and uses the suspension design we talked about earlier. The clamping pressure is almost non-existent, but still provides just enough support that the headset doesn't fall off your head, even if you're moshing out to your favourite rock music. In testing, I've used this headset mainly while playing Escape from Tarkov for some grueling 8-hour plus long sessions, and during that time I didn't get any pressure on the top or sides of my head or feel any discomfort at all. In the comfort department, the Skiller SGH10 really shines and it's definitely one of the stronger suits. The breathable pads kept my ears suitably cool, although noise isolation is minimal, so you'll still hear a bit of background noise or chatter or keyboard noise, so not the most ideal if you're using them in noisy environments. Inside the Skiller SGH10s, you'll find 40mm drivers tuned towards gaming with a frequency response between 20Hz to 20,000Hz. Listening to a frequency sound test, I could actually detect audio as low as 16Hz, which is outside of their specified range, and then a max frequency of around 16,500 Hz. Although I expect this is just my own hearing capabilities and not a limitation of the headset itself, as I am starting to get a little old and dusty. This headset is exceptionally easy to drive, meaning you could just plug and play with basically any device that has a 3.5mm jack connection. Going back to what I just said about being tuned for gaming, we see this a lot in gaming headsets. They're very bass heavy and quite boomy. Gaming companies seem to do this to target footstep sounds which fall into that low end frequency band. And while this sounds great on paper, it becomes quite overwhelming, leaving the overall sound of the headset somewhat lacking and completely overpowered by that overly boomy bass. The mids come across very muffled, and it's hard to differentiate between sounds when there's a lot of audio cues being heard simultaneously, making the listening experience feel very cluttered, for want of a better word. As I mentioned previously, I've been playing a lot of Tarkov, which is a game that relies heavily on audio cues and knowing which direction footsteps and gunshots are coming from. But I found the directional audio and positional cues were not great, certainly not as wide or precise as virtual surround headsets, but ultimately good enough for casual play and just chatting with your friends. That is me being quite critical though, and we have to remember this is a very budget headset. If I was playing a lot of single player games or non-competitive co-op games, I'd be much happier with the audio considering the price. All of which I just mentioned is also apparent when listening to music or consuming general media content. Overall, I would say the audio quality isn't great and could definitely be a lot better. There's no software with the headset, but if you were looking to squeeze the most out of it in terms of audio performance, you could use a third-party EQ software, which I actually messed around with myself. Reducing the bass and boosting the mids resulted in a slightly more pleasing sound, but still by no means a premium sounding headset, and any self-proclaimed audiophile would probably run a mile. The detachable mic is omnidirectional with a foam pop filter that helps tame plosives. My voice comes through clean and clear and is perfectly usable in Discord or in-game chat. It doesn't quite live up to Sharkoon's claims of quote-unquote streamer quality, which, to be honest, not many headset mics will, as most streamers just use standalone mics that cost hundreds of pounds. But having said that, I'm pretty impressed with the mic quality, certainly at this price point. Background noise rejection is modest. It won't block out, say, a mechanical keyboard, but it's good enough for game chat and even casual streaming. And noise gates and noise suppression filters can be added within Discord or streaming software like OBS, for example. One big con here though is that we have absolutely no ability to mute the mic. There's no controls on the headset or any inline controls whatsoever, which is a real shame. In an emergency, your only option would be to yank out the mic if you needed to quickly mute yourself, which is certainly less than ideal. Anyway, let's have a listen to what the mic sounds like. This is the Sharkoon Skiller SGH10 microphone. This audio is captured raw with the mic plugged directly into the camera with no pre or post processing. I have the pop filter installed on the end and the mic is positioned about an inch from my mouth. For under £25, I'm very happy with this mic quality. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. One of its strongest suits is compatibility. Thanks to the modular cabling, it works well with desktop PCs, PlayStations, Xbox, Nintendo Switches, laptops, and pretty much anything with a 3.5mm jack. It's also really nice to see here that we have braided cables as well, a nice little premium touch where we might have expected to see some cheap rubber sheathed cables for such a budget headset. The short cable keeps things tidy on a controller, while the 2.5mm total reach is plenty for PC gamers. I like that I can keep the extension cable plugged into my PC, making it quickly hot swappable between playing on my console downstairs and moving back up to my PC upstairs without having to fiddle around trying to plug the mic and audio cable into the back of the PC each time. And even though it's a wide headset, I don't feel anchored to my desk, with the long cable offering me room to get up and move about if needed. Perfect for getting up now and then for a stretch during those long gaming hours. To finalise then, the Sharkoon Skiller SGH10 isn't about flashy extras. It's about function, comfort and versatility at a price that feels almost too good in 2025. But really getting down to the nitty gritty, it's stereo only, the build quality is basic and plastic, it's not noise isolating, and the audio is lackluster at best. So this isn't a headset that I'd recommend to the masses, but I will say, for the price tag, if you're on a super tight budget, or perhaps you're a parent buying a first headset for a younger kid, it will ultimately get the job done. That's been our look at the Sharkoon Skiller SGH10 stereo gaming headset. Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Would you pick one up at this price? If you enjoyed this review, please do drop a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe to Kit Guru for the latest PC gaming news and reviews. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you go down below this video in the description, you'll find links to our Discord server, our Patreon page, and our website if you want to check any of that out and support us further. You'll also find a link to our merch shop where you can pick up all sorts of cool goodies, like this cool t-shirt that I'm wearing here. Anyway, I've been Wes, and this has been the Skiller SGH10 from Sharkoon, and a dive into the budget gaming headset space. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye for now.